Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Top 5 rookies that I am drafting for your 2022 best ball fantasy football drafts. I think I've hit every single keyword that needs to be hit there for SEO purposes. Sometimes you got to feed the algorithm. It is what it is. I'm really not high on this year's rookie class, especially not at quarterback like I have been the last couple of years. This is a very unique rookie class. There are a few guys, though, who are going to be getting enough volume to make it worthwhile, because that's what the game is about. This is not a slight on the rookies that are playing this class, but a lot of the rookies that got drafted are being drafted into spots where they're not going to produce a whole lot of numbers or get a whole lot of volume in year one, especially at the quarterback position. So I'm focused in on some running backs and some wide receivers. Here are my top 5 that I've been drafting or are willing to draft at their current ADP. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, share the video. And if there's a rookie that I did not mention who you like, make your argument for him down below in the comments. Let's go.
He's a legend.
First and foremost, we're going to start at the running back position with Breece Hall. Right now being drafted as the RB18. He's got an ADP on Underdog Fantasy of 43.5. Now, yeah, there's some danger in this spot, being that he has to, produce enough touchdowns. You're drafting him as a mid-level RB2. And there's a lot of players in that range at mid-level RB2, but based on the situation that he's in with the Jets, where he is going to be the lead guy from week 1, and his profile as a pass catcher, he's got good back size, great speed, running like as you see here on player profile, at 4.39, and good size, 5'11", 217 pounds. So he's not a small running back, good enough to pound between the tackles and fast enough that when he gets outside, he can get loose. I believe that the Jets offense is an arrow up offense. Now, I'm not expecting the Jets to score 40 touchdowns this year, but they should be able to move the ball more competently than they have in years past, and more specifically last year in Zach Wilson's first year as their starter. Now, an entire offseason with the same verbiage and the same coaching staff that they had usually means good things for a quarterback. And if Zach Wilson is going to be arrow up, and they got a little bit more on the outside this year and a lot more experience with the receivers, as well as 2 very good pass catching and run blocking tight ends, a lot of good things look like they're coming for Breece Hall. I don't mind the price here, being drafted around pick 43, 44, but he is going to have to be heavy on the touchdowns in order to really pay that pick off. So I don't have very much Breece Hall, but of all the running backs, of all the rookies, he is my number 1 choice at that position. My second favorite rookie in this class is Drake London. Now, he's not a burner, right? He's not a super fast guy. He can get behind a defense here and there, but like you see, his comp is Marquise Colston, who wasn't really beating anybody deep. He's not a Tyreek Hill type. He is a big body, 6'4", 213 pounds, going to a team that does not have a lot of target options that are there on the outside. Yeah, Kyle Pitts. I would like to see Kyle Pitts not line up as a wide receiver. Okay, I'm just saying it. I'm saying that I don't want to see him line up in the slot. I don't want to see him line up outside. Freak tight ends do better when they line up at tight end or at H-back, when they're in line or matched up with linebackers or safeties. When you put them against cornerbacks whose job it is to shut down guys who can run routes, as opposed to linebackers that's not their primary job. Some are good in pass protection. Safeties are not there to cover man-to-man. That's where you see their best advantages, right? So like we saw that with Gronk, he has much better statistics and metrics when he was lined up against a linebacker or a safety than he was when he was lined up against a cornerback. So assuming that they move him inside, that means Drake London gets all those outside targets, as so many targets were vacated. We know that Brian, the guy that was traded from the Raiders, Brian Edwards, is not really the biggest deal in the world. He's going to get a good amount of targets. This is a team that should be playing from behind a lot. They do play in a favorable situation for weather and are going to be chasing in pass friendly situations a lot. I would not be shocked to see Drake London pull down, let's say 100 to 120 targets here as a rookie, which is substantial. He is being drafted currently as the wide receiver 37 with an ADP of 75.5. So you're not risking all that much in drafting him versus other wide receivers in that spot. And as I said, a really big target to go along with Kyle Pitts once they get into the red zone. Those two should eat up the majority of the end zone and red zone targets once this team gets close. Again, not expecting 35 passing touchdowns from this team, but if they throw for 20 to 25 of them over the course of a season, the majority are going to go to Kyle Pitts. And Drake London should be second on this team in terms of end zone and red zone targets, which is extremely substantial for a rookie getting the amount of volume that he's going to get. If you're playing best ball, I would suggest you getting an account on Underdog Fantasy. My favorite place to play best ball, and I would assume that it could be yours as well. Great user interface, amazing tournaments, including the Best Ball Mania 3, which has $10 million in prize money, $2 million to first, $1 million to second place if you can get through the playoff gauntlet. But also, if you're the #1 scoring team through the 14-week regular season, there's another $1 million for that team as well. They run a bunch of lower stakes tournaments like the Puppy, which they've just filled the second one. They also had a Superflex Puppy. They have high stakes ones like the Great Dane and the Bulldog for $1,500. So you can get in where you fit in. And if you use promo code ALSMIZZLE, that's one word, ALSMIZZLE, you will get a deposit match up to $100. So $100 free that you can use on these drafts or pick them or anything else that they have on the site. Go check out Underdog Fantasy, and you can use the link in the pinned comment below, smizzle.tv/underdog. Next, we're going to another Jets rookie here, Garrett Wilson. Now, the reason I like Garrett Wilson, and I think it's cute that Player Profiler used Chris Olave as his comp. It's funny. Well done, guys. We're looking at an ADP of 111 right now, being drafted as a wide receiver 52. I'm buying Elijah Moore. I believe I'm buying a lot of pieces of this Jets offense. I'm buying Corey Davis at his ADP at like 160. And Corey Davis is a very good, very professional wide receiver. A couple of years ago, he was like the number 2 or 3 wide receiver in PFF's season-long grades. But Garrett Wilson profiles as a better prospect than both of those other guys did. And as high as I am on Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson could see a lot of work this year, sometimes over Elijah Moore and sometimes probably over Chris Davis, just because of the profile on this kid that he can get deep. He can be outside. He has got good enough size. He's not a smallish wide receiver. He's not going to be relegated to the slot all the time, even though slot, it does give us a lot more close to the line of scrimmage targets. If you're drafting on DraftKings, you want to draft a lot of slot receivers or pass catching running backs in your late rounds of best ball drafts. But Garrett Wilson gives us the opportunity the opportunity that we've seen from other top-notch first-round caliber wide receivers in the past couple of years. I'm not saying he's Jamar Chase. I'm not saying that he's Justin Jefferson. I am saying that it has not become as commonplace for rookies to not be as involved as outside options and kind of come out of nowhere to have these big seasons. 100 to 135 targets is probably going to be at the low end for him. I'm expecting 90 to 110 targets for Garrett Wilson, but a lot of those could be big splash type plays. So at the position that he's being drafted, and considering how much we want to draft for spike week type potential, Garrett Wilson does fit into that, being matched with a quarterback in Wilson who will challenge defenses deep. And if Wilson can get deep, the Wilson to Wilson combo is going to be pretty solid this year. Next is somebody who's been falling in Treylon Burks. Now, he has been sitting, usually he was up there being drafted with Drake London in the 70s. He's fallen about 20 picks now as the wide receiver 46 and an average draft position of 95. So you're getting a little bit of a discount here because of the news that he may not be the week 1 starter. But if you're drafting in best ball, you're not drafting guys that are going to be there in week 1 and 2. You want to draft players that are going to see an increasing role as the season goes along. This kid has been a difference maker his entire time at Arkansas, and he's not going to be the fastest player when it comes to his 40-yard dash time, but like you did not see him on film get caught from behind pretty much at all. Like he would catch the ball and then get moving, and he would just run away from defenses in the SEC. So like this is a player that has a little bit more speed on field than he has in a sprint situation, like a 40-yard dash. I like where he's going now versus I was not drafting him when he was going in the 70s. I am now drafting Burks on a team that is not going to be a really high volume passing attack, right? The Titans are not going to just throw the ball all over the field, but considering that you've got Robert Woods, who's a very solid wide receiver, but coming back off of a really tough injury. And then on the other side, you have Westbrook Inkine, who is currently ahead of Burks on the depth chart. I would assume that Burks is going to work his way into a higher volume role over the first month of the season and then be the 1 or the 1A by the second half to the end of the season based on his profile this year. So I'm not shying away at his current ADP. I would assume it's going to rise if he sees more action in the preseason. But if it hangs out here between 95 and 105, I'm going to end up the draft season with a whole lot of Treylon Burks. My final rookie on the list is Jalen Tolbert, ADP of 141 right now. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 67. The Dallas Cowboys are struggling to find capable wide receivers to put on the field. They do have CeeDee Lamb, who loves CeeDee Lamb. Absolutely loves CeeDee Lamb. Liked him last year, like him this year even more with the absence of Amari Cooper. Now, those targets that have been vacated from Amari Cooper and very possibly Michael Gallup. We don't know whether Michael Gallup is going to be there in week 1 or if he's going to be on the physically unable to perform list and be out the first 6 weeks of the season. He is recovering from a very late season knee injury and may not be ready. And guess who will be ready in week 1? And that's going to be Jalen Tolbert. They lost so many guys on the outside. Said Wilson is gone, Amari Cooper is gone, and even though they paid for Gallup to come back, he just may not be there. So it's Dalton Schultz, it's CeeDee Lamb, and very possibly Jalen Tolbert is coming in at a really, really, really cheap price on an extremely good offense. I'm buying at this point a lot. I'm getting a lot of shares of Jalen Tolbert the last couple of weeks, and I don't see myself slowing down until this ADP really rises. It's gone up 5 spots in the last couple of weeks, but like not really something I'm shying away from at that point. He's not free, right? You got to pay a price for him, but like you're drafting him as your wide receiver 5, 6, or 7. It's not all that out of the realm of possibility to think that, one, at the beginning of the season, he's going to be very viable. And based on the fact that this Cowboys offense has been able to support 3 pass catching wide receivers the past 2 years, things aren't going to change all of a sudden with Dak Prescott under center. So as long as Dak stays healthy, Jalen Tolbert, even with Michael Gallup returning and CeeDee Lamb on the other side, has a chance to be extremely viable and show a massive profit at this current ADP. I would expect this to rise throughout August as the preseason goes along. So I'm buying a lot of shares at 141. You draft whoever you like. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for the next video right there.
He's a legend.